Welcome back to GBGuns Armory, the series in which I'm going over stuff reviewed in the past. And since those full reviews are already out with the facts and all the info and performance and that kind of stuff, these are more about thoughts and feels. Sometimes not even about the gun itself, but they are thoughts and feelings triggered by the gun itself. And today, I don't know why I hadn't done this one yet, going over the BUL Armory SAS 2 Ultralight. This is a little 3 1/4 inch double stack 1911 that has 17 round capacity, and between using an aluminum frame with plenty of cuts, of course the polymer, and all of this removal of steel on the slide itself, you see that notch there. That's because the rear sight can be removed to put an optic on it, but that extra steel wasn't needed all the way up to the breech face, and so it was removed. You can see the hammers bobbed, even the safeties bobbed, and then super beautiful is the fluting on the little 3 1/4 inch barrel. All the weight that could be removed was removed from this thing. It makes it super light to carry, and of course the size factor makes it very comfortable, and it has been my summer carry gun. It was last summer, and as things warm up here, even though it's like mid-50s and expecting rain here in Oregon in late May, it is my lightweight carry. I've been carrying it in a Tier 1 concealment holster, this guy here, which I appreciate having the little flex cords to bend because it carries strong side, so this lets it kind of wrap the body a little bit better. And been using Liberty Ammunition Civil Defense 50 grainers. Their ultra lightweight stuff are in the, I think they used to be called NS2 or something like that, cases where it's a combination of aluminum and steel, but a very lightweight case, 2-part case. This magazine weighs practically nothing, even though I got 17 rounds on board. And I of course checked them to run well in this gun, and they do print well in this gun. Oddly enough, the same rounds don't print so well in the 4 1/4 inch SAS 2 TAC that I carried in the wintertime. So I had to change ammo for that, which is kind of a bummer because the 4 1/4 inch gun is heavier to begin with, and I gotta use heavier ammo, but very lightweight and comfortable. Ran this thing at the Guardian Conference last year in Oklahoma. Loved it. It's not quite the same mind meld with a gun that I have with a Ground Power K100, but that's because I have years of experience with the Ground Power K100. This thing I've only got about a year's worth of experience with, and it for me was, it represented a jump, a change. So I carried the decocker model of the K100. I'm a firm believer of trying to have more than a 4-inch barrel, or at least a 4-inch barrel, to get proper performance out of ammunition, unless you have the right specialty ammunition like this Liberty Civil Defense is. Because then you're not, shorter barrel, you're not getting the same energy. Your hollow point may not perform as intended, and if I'm gonna buy hollow points, carry hollow points, and trust my life and the life of loved ones to those hollow points, I want to give those hollow points all the chance they can get. Go to a shorter barrel, you lose that chance. So just be aware of that. But the other big paradigm shift for me on this thing was moving from a DASA with a decocker, because I still have a frame of the old Mark 12 decocker K100, to a rather crisp, short and light single action. If I can get the lighting on here right for you. That's our take up. Get the safety depressed. Clean brake. Reset. It's right there. So it's not absurdly short and light, but it is certainly a more sensitive trigger than a DA by far. And although the single action on Ground Power is pretty darn good, this one is just it's a different attitude, a different mental preparedness, different training as well, to be ensuring that as I draw, I'm resting my thumb on that safety so that I can deactivate it while I'm building my grip to be ready for the shot. It's a little more complicated, and I realize a lot of people don't carry this way. They prefer a striker fire with no manual safety, and they just kind of don't have to think about it and run, and that's cool. Nothing wrong with that. I was there too before I had a lot of training and kind of developed some, I guess, shooter maturity, you could say. These guns are not inexpensive, and that was another consideration of mine, because any firearm used in a defensive scenario you're likely to never see again. There are insurance and insurance-like products out there that offer replacement cost. I might have to take them up on that with this one, because it's not a gun I could run out and grab again. And speaking of, this is an older model. The new ones coming in 2024 no longer have that fluted barrel. A few other things have been changed to it. Whether or not that makes a huge difference, that's up to the guys that are really, really into picking apart their double stack 1911s. I welcome them in any shape or form. In fact, this has a multi-piece guide rod in it, and they also have a solid, no, this has a solid, they also have a multi-piece, and they did that because whichever one gets chosen, people say, oh, I wish it had the other. And so they offered both, and a year or so back, I did a video on the main channel asking people, hey, 1911 folks who get upset over this, tell me what's the difference. And I outlined what I saw as strengths and weaknesses of both systems. Asked for, like, what is the reason why some people get so upset over these things, and I don't recall ever getting any solid answers, so maybe it's just another one of those internet lore things. But question to you guys is, do you rotate between summer and winter carry? And if so, do you try to have them paired? Between this and the 4 1/4 inch that I carried in wintertime, the major difference for the shooter is this has a little less traction and it has a shorter grip. So the draw is more important on this to get right from the get-go. And if you guys have ever done a lot of drills, like front sight was famous for it, hundreds and hundreds of draws, to the point where you're forcing yourself to get sloppy and to feel a bad draw, and to decide if you're going to proceed with it and how you're going to recover from that bad draw as you're presenting to the target. This little guy is less forgiving about it than the big one is, which is extra ironic because the big one is the one that's easier to begin, to get at to begin with. Other reason why I like this thing is, despite its size, I do get all 3 fingers on there, so I have solid control. The grip texture on these was not as aggressive as on the 4 1/4s. That's great for carry. Could be a little more slippery. I did get sweaty in Oklahoma. It was September, October. Still warm out in Oklahoma, and drawing this thing, I felt a little slip. I wished there was more traction, but it never got to a dangerous or uncomfortable part for me, largely because of this toe kick here. Because having that on, I had hold of the gun. It wasn't going to soap bar squirt out of my hand. It was more of a little bit of fishing side to side that was the slipperiness, and that all gets fixed while aligning the sights anyways. So that was another kind of epiphany moment that I had with this thing, because the traction, a lot of traction snobs, if you will, would complain like this is not aggressive enough. For my hand, it didn't really matter that much. A little bit of side to side swim, but again, that's, especially coming out, I finger along the side of the frame until about here during the presentation process, and then start moving the trigger. And that finger alongside this frame, muscle memory knows and naturally points in the direction that I am presenting the firearm. And so what little bit of swim might have happened as the gun was coming up and getting to this spot got corrected as soon as I tightened my grip and that finger rested there. So another interesting thing, that maybe that traction doesn't matter quite as much as people like to think it does. It can help in recoil control, but I would also argue, and you guys can try at home, the flesh on your hand moves. You can move between skin and where the actual grip and tension is. Even holding a tight fist, there's still a little bit of wiggle there. So while the traction might feel better to us, is it really helping you control the gun, or does it just feel that way? Because if it grips the skin, then the skin moves. If it doesn't grip the skin, then, I mean, the gun still moves. So I don't know, does it really matter? So a bunch of random questions and thoughts, but that's the way I like to do it here on the Armory. I picked up this thing. I need to dust it off because I have been carrying it for a while, so it's got a little bit of pocket lint going on it. But yeah, thoughts and reflections, all inspired by the BUL Armory SAS 2 Ultralight. Fun little gun. Shoots like a big gun, carries like a small gun. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you tomorrow.